chat box. Hi, Christina. Are you able to hear me? Okay, great. Thank you, Matthew. And you can see the PowerPoint as well, right? Very good.
Good afternoon, I as well.
Hi, that was Charles, I think. It looks like Charles.
Yes,
Your okay, great, great. And by the way, anytime that you all want to use your microphone and ask a question or make a comment, feel free. Well, I want to welcome you to our session for tonight. I do want to keep it fairly short and sweet. We'll take 30 minutes, but I'm going to focus mainly on the assignments. But I do wonder, are there any questions out there? Anything that you want me to go over specifically? I can also answer questions about grading, about feedback. And while you're thinking about that, I just want to thank you for being a part of this class. I think it's been really good. I've seen some great work from just about all of you. There's a few of you that are a little bit behind. You've been in touch with me, and you have extensions. If that's you, then you know who you are. But I do want to encourage you as we get closer to the end of the class here to get everything in by the final day of class. We just have a few more weeks left. Anyone graduating at the end of this term? You'll be very good. That's congratulations, Matthew, Christina. I know this is the last class for a lot of people. So Megan and Letitia, so many of you. Well, that's great. It must be wonderful to see the light at the end of the tunnel and know that you're just a few weeks away from being able to put the final period at the end of this sentence, this long sentence.
One more left, and I can't be any more excited.
That's great. Yeah, you should be. It's very hard to get a master's degree, and so congratulations to everyone. I hope that it's been everything that you wanted it to be, and that it's been a good program. That and that being at the school has been a really positive experience for you. I know when I was a student, I had mostly positive experiences in most of the classes, but every once in a while there was a couple of them that were a little more on the challenging side. But I hope you've had a really good experience and that you can take this degree and go out and do everything that you hope that you can do with it. Well, let's talk about what we have left to do in the class. And before I go any further, if you have questions over these last few weeks, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Email is usually the quickest and best way because I get that on my phone and I can sometimes respond to you within minutes or an hour or two. If you use the course messaging system, which is fine, just know that I have to log in to answer you. So it might take me a little bit longer, but no more than 24 hours typically. Since you guys are pros at this and just about everybody's graduating, just meet the requirements. That's really what this slide is about. Meet the requirements and read the rubric and follow the instructions and you should be just fine. We do expect you to use good research. At this point, this should be just a habit for all of you, and it looks like it is as I read your papers. But make sure you're using good, credible references, not websites like Forbes or Investopedia. Focus on good, scholarly, peer-reviewed journals or textbooks, and use APA. And I don't think we have any APA issues in the class, but these are just things I want to make sure we go over. Also, don't forget to register your attendance. You certainly want to get credit for this. If you're listening on the recording, answer the 3 questions and make sure that you turn that in as soon as possible. That way you can get that part of the class taken care of. So here's where we are. We have finished our discussions. We've done the verification. You have one more knowledge check. Tonight's the last lecture. Unit 3 assignment and Unit 4 journal, that's done. And what you have left is the Unit 6 assignment, the Unit 7 assignment, and the Unit 8 journal. So let's go over these. I have some examples that I can give you just to show you, because a lot of people do have questions on this visual graphic assignment. So this assignment is supposed to help you develop strategic decision-making skills crucial for global business management and for MNEs. And so you're going to create a visual graphic to explore global competition opportunities and challenges, market entry strategies, and the cost-responsive framework. So the first thing you'll do is you'll select a multinational firm. Example there is Tesla, but you can pick anything that you want. Identify a specific global market outside the US that the firm is considering entering. An example is Tesla entering the Indian market. I don't know right off the bat if they have already entered, but when this assignment was written, they were considering it. The more I travel, the more I see Teslas in other countries, so it's very possible that you're already seeing Teslas in the Indian market, but try to pick something that maybe you could do a quick search for this, and it is in India recently. Thanks, Siva. Appreciate that. I don't know what other countries Tesla might be considering, but I'm sure they're not in every single country. So you could also look that up, do some research on that. So anyway, you're going to create a visual graphic, and it will include opportunities and problems of competing globally. You're going to look at options for MNEs to enter foreign markets. You're going to look at the cost-responsive framework to evaluate strategies MNEs can pursue when competing globally. Basically, the graphic should map the specific opportunities and challenges that they might face, and it should give a visual depiction of the different market entry strategies the enterprise could consider. Things like joint ventures, direct investment, partnerships, and you analyze these options within the context of the cost-responsive framework. Okay, so the recommendation here is, based on your analysis, you're going to provide that recommendation on whether they should pursue expansion into the selected market and support your recommendation with practical considerations. Now, this only is going to be 1 page, so we are not looking for a dissertation here. We're not even looking for an essay. We're looking for a visual graphic. So Let me give you 3 examples of what this could look like. So here is, and these are straight from students that got A's on the assignment. Okay, so this student chose to write about Tesla and their expansion into India. They put a summary on the left-hand side, and then they hit all of the key things in the assignment on the right side. I like how they did it because it's a pretty interesting visual, and yeah, there's a lot of text on this one. Maybe don't need quite that much, but I think they were trying to be thorough. I think they did a great job of covering opportunities, the perception of customers, market entry strategies, cost responsive framework, and then they had their recommendation at the end. They used several different sources for support, and overall, I think this is just a terrific assignment. They did a really nice visual graphic that checks off all the boxes for the assignment. So that's one example. Now here is a totally different kind of example, but also this student did well. They had an A on this assignment. So they looked at Starbucks and their expansion into South Africa. Now, they also have a lot of text, but they chose a very, almost a bookmark type of infographic, which is also fine. Remember, infographic just kind of unleashes your own creativity. You can do any size you want. You can do any shape that you want. You can use whatever visuals you wish. I like how they had a visual for each of the 4 blocks of information here. I thought those were well done, and their bullet points were good. They had good references. So another very good assignment. A third one. Now this one, I may like this one the most just because it's colorful, it's appealing. They certainly used every part of this slide, but they made it interesting, and it's fairly easy, at least for me, to see the different segments of the assignment and how they addressed each one. It's a very thorough and detailed infographic, while at the same time being visually appealing. They use good references, and I really appreciated the way that they went about this. This student did well as well. The one thing that made it difficult for me on this one, though, was to find their recommendations. So I wasn't quite sure where that recommendation was until I had to read everything, and I go, oh yeah, it's on the bottom right there. But they also had some other things on the bottom left, and that's maybe one thing I would call to your attention is make sure that your headings match the assignment instructions, because otherwise sometimes your professors don't really know where to look for the things that you're supposed to include, and it's easy for me to miss it. I have to read 30 of these with so many students in the class, and everything starts to blur together. I try my best to give individual attention to every student, but you have to understand what it's like to grade so many of these, and you want your headings to make the information jump out at your professors when they're reading things. That way I can check that box off. I know that you did that. Hope that makes sense. And those are some good examples of the assignments. Do you have any questions on this one? All right, I don't see any questions. There's also an example in the Writing Center. Thanks, Matthew. Yeah, that's a good place to go as well. Okay, let's move on. The bigger assignment in the course is Unit 7. And you probably already started to work on this. Some of you have actually turned it in. But this is a 7-page assignment, and you're going to be focused on the firm that you selected and discussed with Global Operations. You provided the corporate profile, perceptions of the firm, looked at its global strategy. Then in Unit 3, you did the environmental scan. You looked at SWOT's, PESTL's 5 forces to analyze the firm. And then Unit 4, you looked at innovation, the role of leadership. And for this assignment, you're going to use that same organization, and you're going to compile a strategic case analysis that addresses the following items. So rather than read this slide, what I'm going to do is basically hit each one of these things very briefly. So you're going to start out by talking about the background of the firm. You'll give the company name, the headquarters, global presence, products, services, their customer base. You'll look at their public perception and reputation. I know in this course we do a lot with Tesla, and so it's very interesting to look at Tesla and what the public perception has been since Elon Musk has gotten involved in politics. Regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, you have to admit that his involvement in politics, and also Twitter and X and SpaceX and everything else he's got his hand in has really been impacted by his political involvement. And so that would be a study in itself if you choose to do that. You'll look at the company's purpose and mission, the ethical guidelines, codes of conduct, CSR statements, and use the information from the company's website, their annual reports, credible news sources. Those are all fine. So that's the background. Next, here's an example of what that would look like. Starbucks, they offer coffee, beverages, food items. They're global retail consumers, coffee enthusiasts. Purpose is to inspire and nurture the human spirit. One person, one cup, one neighborhood at a time. Did any of you know that? I didn't until I looked it up. Then their mission is to provide ethically sourced products and build sustainable communities. And when it comes to ethics, their goal is fair trade sourcing, supplier responsibility, and inclusion initiatives. So that's what you can do for your slide, or for that section, I'm sorry. Step two, you're going to look at the internal and the external environment. You look at things like company structure, core competencies, internal culture, the financial position and resources. Externally, you look at competitors, their market share, economic, political, technological trends, global industry conditions. And you can use PESTLE or 5 forces to analyze those factors. The next thing you'll do is you look at partnerships, mergers, and acquisitions. Have they had any strategic partnerships or alliances with other companies? What about acquisitions or mergers? I think Apple, I don't know how many acquisitions they make every year, but if your company is Apple, you can really spend a lot of time on that. Most of the bigger companies have a lot of very quiet acquisitions behind the scenes. Not as many mergers out there, but it reminds me of cell phone companies and how Sprint and AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, those have considered merging, and some have merged, like Sprint and T-Mobile. How these relationships expanded market share or product lines. You look at impacts on global reach and innovation. An example would be when Microsoft acquired LinkedIn and how that strengthened its presence in business networking and data analytics. Then you have your SWOT. This is obviously, you guys have done this many times by now in your program, but you want to look at opportunities for growth, how might it impact the company's market share and revenue, the risks from a global perspective, and the competitors. And I did want to include in here one common mistake I see in SWOTs is that the external environment is not fully scanned. A lot of times people will view opportunities and threats in an internal light instead of externally as they should be. There is a difference between weaknesses and threats. Weaknesses come from what's internal, threats come from outside, like a new governmental rule, tariffs, those types of things. Same with strengths and opportunities. Strengths are internal. Opportunities focus on things like new laws that might open up things for that company, maybe new technologies that are being used in the world, like artificial intelligence, cultural issues, changes in the marketplace or industry. So you'll do your SWOT. And by the way, if you have questions on any of these, stop me at any time. But for partners, mergers, and acquisitions, make sure you're including, oh wait, I already went over that slide. Sorry, that's a duplicate. So global strategies, you're going to look at least 2 of them. Your market entry strategy, like exporting, franchising, joint ventures, and FDI. You might also look at competitive strategy, cost leadership, differentiation, localization. For example, you could discuss how technology supports or even reshapes these strategies. I don't know if you've been reading up on artificial intelligence, but I saw some very scary statistics today about what the job market will look like in 2030. I think it's somewhere around 40% of all jobs will either be fully replaced or partially replaced by AI. Those are 40% of all United States jobs, 40% of them. That's scary. That means in a class like ours with roughly 30 students, including my job, who knows, at least a dozen will probably, your current jobs will be replaced by some form of AI, whether it's full or partial. And that's a prediction. We can't say for sure, but certainly technology should be a very important part of any time we're doing an analysis on a company, especially in an assignment like this. What is the impact of AI? Francis, you said yours is already using AI in HR. Absolutely. I mean, HR is really using a lot of AI, all kinds of metrics. And in fact, there's now most HR programs have at least 1, sometimes 2 HR metrics classes, so that you can learn to use AI and do good research and gather the right data. Sure, go ahead. Go ahead, Charles. Charles, I don't know if you're going to say something up, and feel free if you want to. Main point is AI is we're going to see more and more of it. And yeah, recruiting as well for interview questions. Francis, I don't know if you've seen, but a lot of interviews now are your first interview is actually with a bot. You would do an interview where you answer questions via video. It's recorded, then it's transcribed. Then, depending on the type of job, the artificial intelligence filters all the videos that were done and weeds out those who obviously aren't going to be qualified and present to HR leaders the certain number of qualified applicants who did well on the video. And then they start the actual personal interaction with those who are potential candidates, which is kind of scary. It's kind of scary that is the case, but it's been proven to be pretty effective from what I understand. So yeah, these are all things that are certainly worth utilizing for this assignment and talking about. I think it's going to make a huge impact, and it has already. Francis, your corporate recruiters do a portion of that with Olivia and Paradox. Yeah. Pretty interesting. I don't know what the world's going to look like 20 or 30 years from now. I will be retired, or maybe not even here, but 20 or 30 years from now, I'm concerned for my kids and what they're going to face in the labor force. But that's another story. Another thing you're going to do in this assignment is the global strategy. Example might be if you were studying Nike, one of their strategies is to outsource production to reduce costs and maintain efficiency. A lot of companies are doing that, although tariffs are really impacting this. I see more and more companies moving to the United States, maybe not necessarily because they want to, but because the tariffs are forcing them to reconsider whether outsourcing is something that they can do effectively. Another global strategy is digital transformation. The Nike app, online customization tools. You're basically creating your own shoes now. If you want, you can customize everything, nearly everything that Nike does. The impact of technology, enhanced customer engagement, and data-driven marketing. So that's global strategy. And then you'll also look at structure and organizational culture. You're going to talk about the type of structure. Do they have hierarchical, matrix, flat, or divisional structure? What are the leadership roles, and what's their decision-making style? Is it pretty flat, or is it very much of a hierarchy? How does structure shape communication and innovation? Is the company very empowering? Do they allow innovation from wherever you are in the org chart? Or is it, again, much more of a top-down type of leadership style? And then how does that culture contribute to competitive advantage? You should include things like corporate diversification. Is it related, unrelated, vertical, or horizontal integration? All of those things can be included in this. Then a little more on the leadership. You should include leadership philosophy and style. Do they focus more? Are they more transactional, which I think most companies are? There's some that are transformational, some that are more on the ethical side, and some not so much. And then there's a few out there that use servant leadership. So what is their style? What kind of press releases or news articles are out there showing innovation support? Are they transparent? Are they more hidden? What about their values, their goals, their ethical commitments? Do they do CSR? Or do they focus on sustainability, those types of things? Are they involved in the community? You can look for things like CEO letters, sustainability statements, media interviews for this. An example would be Tesla, where Elon Musk promotes innovation in clean energy and AI. Obviously, the focus is on bold vision, risk-taking culture. Then there's the ethical challenges of things. There's the political involvement, etc. And leadership drives both innovation and controversy in Tesla. So it can be a very fascinating company to write about. So a summary of this is you're going to write 7 full pages, title page, 7 pages, and a reference page. 5 sources. 1 should be from the library. Focus generally on peer-reviewed references rather than websites, but at the same time, you might want to look up news articles. There's going to be some important resources that are not peer-reviewed references. So have a good mix in there, okay? You're going to do an analysis of their partnerships. You're going to look at their SWOT. You're going to reflect on sustainability, structure, leadership, and give some recommendations. What do you think this company should be doing in the future? And that is basically your assignment. Any questions on this one? All right, I think that pretty much covers it. So the last thing that you're going to do in the class is your journal. 200-word response. What are your thoughts about the importance of strategy in an era of significant challenge and change? What ethical parameters, including human rights and intellectual property, do you think should be addressed in a corporate strategy of a global firm? You do not need to use references. You're certainly welcome to if you want. 200 words, and this should be your final assignment for those of you that are graduating. It'll be the last thing you do, maybe, as a master's level student. So that takes care of the rest of the course. Well, let me do a quick overview real quick here, make sure I covered everything. So you really have what's left in yellow there, Unit 8 knowledge check, 6 and 7 assignments, 8 journal, and you're done. Questions, comments, thoughts? You're welcome, Matthew. I hope you guys did enjoy the class and learned a lot, and hope that there's useful information here that you can really put into practice. You always want to be learning practical things, not just theory. 7 is the 7-page assignment. Megan, okay, wait a minute. I'm not sure I understand your comment. Could you just explain that a little bit further?
When I look up that unit for the last one you just talked about, the journal, it was the 7-page assignment for me. So I'm not sure if mine are just out of order or...
I don't know. Let me take a look.
Sorry, could you just come back to that last slide? Maybe I just read it wrong.
So this, the last slide down here, let me get to it. Oh, it should say 8. I think that's the problem.
See, Unit 8, well, yeah, Unit 8 for me was the programmatic assignment. I didn't have a journal. A programmatic assignment, or assessment, that's what I had, the test.
Let me just make, I'm sorry, they did change that.
Okay, I just want to make sure, I was like, did I miss one? So I just wanted to validate that, so.
Wow, okay, my sincere apologies.
That's okay, I thought I was missing something, so I mean, that's
that didn't used to be there. No, that didn't used to be there, so I'm glad that you said that, and I will make that change. My sincere apologies. So let's forget about this journal, right? I'm sure you guys would be glad to do that. I'm going to change that as we speak because I don't want to confuse anybody. Hold on one second. That's what the assignment used to be, and I just didn't realize that was changed. But now you have it, and so you're going to open that assessment. You can read this along with me multiple times, but you submit it once. So I believe it is a 90-question test, and Once you complete that, then you are done. So again, everyone, sorry about that, but thanks for bringing that to my attention. Okay, everyone, I'm going to let you go. I hope that you've enjoyed the class and wish you the best. Reach out to me if you have questions. In the meanwhile, and congratulations to everybody. Have a good night.